Hi, I'm Audrey Shulman, and I'm the writer of Sitting in Bars with Cake. Welcome to Page to Screen.
MK Cop, and welcome to Page to Screen, where we explore the art and craft of screenwriting and independent filmmaking in Tennessee. Tonight, we are talking with screenwriter Audrey Shulman. So, Audrey, you are a native Nashvilleian. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what drew you to screenwriting in the first place?
Sure. I grew up here in Nashville. I went to Hume-Fogg High School, and I always really wanted to be a writer, and I kind of figured I would be a novelist, and then as soon as I got to college, that became clear that that was a big, lofty, intimidating dream. So I took a screenwriting class, and the structure just made so much sense to me. So I was really lucky. I had great teachers who were very encouraging. I have parents who are very encouraging of pursuing screenwriting. So I moved to LA after college, and that's how I got my start out there.
That's amazing. So you graduated, moved to LA, just did that whole jump, and then...
My dad helped me drive. Very nice dad.
Amazing.
Threw out his back on the way there.
Perfect.
Still helped move boxes.
Perfect. And then he had to drive back?
I think we put him on a plane.
Okay,
yes,
good.
yes,
Good.
yes.
As you should. That's good. So from there, I was told that your first project was Moving Millie.
Yes.
That was the first thing that you wrote that got made into a film. Is that correct?
That was the first thing I wrote that was really professionally made. You know, I made little shorts in college. I went to an artsy college in Vermont. But when I got to LA, I was making friends with actors and, you know, DPs and other writers, and so we really wanted to make something ourselves. So we raised money. People here in Nashville were really generous and gave me money on our little like Indiegogo campaign. And we made a short that got accepted to festivals, and I did craft services on that short. I fed everyone. I had a great time. My bosses were really nice and let me leave work to go be there for the shoot. So that was really my first produced work.
That's amazing. And then you started working in kids television, is that correct?
Yes, I've had so many jobs. I worked at I worked in preschool TV, I worked in kids television, I worked in reality TV, I worked at the American Girl doll store, I babysat a lot. You know, it's everyone's LA job. I think Kristen Wiig like delivered oranges. You know, people just do whatever they can in between jobs and hoping to make it in what they really want to do. So.
I have to ask, the American Girl doll store, what exactly did you do there?
I wish I could tell you I worked at the salon, but as you can see, and it's been raining outside, but
Right.
That's not my gift. I just worked behind the cash register and
amazing.
just smiled at all the girls with their grandmothers. That was my job, and I loved it.
Perfect. That's perfect. Babysitting, American Girls, kids television. That's awesome. How did you feel? Let me say that again. How did you feel with working on television? What was that like?
Sure, I was very lucky in that I had bosses who were really good to me because they knew I wanted to be a writer, but I just hadn't broken in yet. I was always writing on the side, you know, entering network writing competitions, just not really getting any traction. So all of the people along the way, whether it was reality TV or kids TV or preschool TV for little kids, my bosses were really good to me and would explain their process or offer to read things I was writing or introduce me to other people that were in scripted television. So I was really fortunate. I just kept working until I finally kind of got in a writer's room on a kids show, and that was, you know, great great experience, but every job I think helped me along the way in my many multi-year long journey to becoming a professional writer.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you were a writing assistant on a show called Fastlane?
I
Is
was,
that correct?
yes, I was.
Okay,
yes.
cool, amazing. Was that also a kid's show? Or what
It
was that?
was. It's a really sweet Disney kid show. It only lasted one season, but my bosses created Even Stevens, which people might be familiar with if they have kids who are my age or a little bit younger. But that was a great show, and they were very generous with their time and advice and encouragement. So they let me write an episode of the show that never aired, but that was like the first TV episode I'd written for, a network, which was really exciting.
That's so cool. And did you know when you were writing television, did you know you were wanting to work towards feature films, screenplays, in that kind of capacity?
Sure. When I moved to LA, which was 2009, there was no Netflix streaming, there was no Amazon streaming. Everyone wanted to work in movies, so I thought, if I work in TV, it won't be as competitive, and then it kind of flipped. So I really moved out there to be a TV writer, but ended up in features.
Amazing.
Yeah, so lucky I ended up anywhere. So I'm really grateful, and it's allowed me to live in Nashville again. So
yeah. Oh, I love that. We are happy that you're here.
Well, thanks.
So now let's talk about your film, Sitting in Bars with Cake, which I absolutely loved.
Oh, thank you, MK. I love it too.
I'm so glad that you do. That's so special. Look at this beautiful poster. It's so sweet. I am curious how this came about.
Sure. So this was a almost 9-year journey for this movie to be made. Like I said, I've had many assistant jobs, many random jobs in LA, always working towards trying to become a professional screenwriter. So in 2013, everyone had a blog. This was before. Now everyone has a podcast. This was when everyone had a blog. And I was really struggling to kind of get through with my writing, and my friend and I ended up at a bar with a cake I had made for her birthday, and we gave it to our friends, and then I looked up and all of these guys in the bar were looking at the cake and looking at me and looking at the cake and looking at me. I could tell that they wanted some, but they weren't gonna just ask for some.
Right.
So I thought, this is such a good way to talk to some guy in a bar. So I ended up sharing the cake with all these guys at the bar, and as we were leaving, my best friend, who I had made the cake for, it was her birthday, said, "Audrey, this is how you'll find a boyfriend. You need to just bake cakes and sit in bars, and you could write a blog about it, and maybe it will lead to a writing job."
Brilliant.
And I thought, that's a really good idea, but I think I'll get in trouble if I do that. Like, someone will notice this girl in LA, like, taking cakes to different bars, and, like, it's not allowed, which is really silly. But the rest of the year went by, and, I was still in an assistant job. None of my scripts were really getting anywhere, and I thought, well, maybe I could do that. Maybe that will lead to a writing job. So for 2013, I took 50 cakes to 50 different bars. I mostly did LA bars because I lived there, but if I came home to visit my parents, I would do Nashville bars. Okay. I did an Oklahoma bar, visiting my grandparents. I did like a wedding. It was just really fun. But towards the end of that year, I had just been posting the blog on Facebook, and people were reading it and sharing it, and someone from the Huffington Post found it and said, "Would you like to start blogging for the Huffington Post about this project?" So from that Huffington Post kind of side blog, someone from a publishing company took note of it and said, "I think this is really cute. We'd like to offer you a book deal. We just have to figure out how to make your blog into a book because people can read your blog for free, and we want people to pay for the book."
Yeah.
So I ended my year of taking cakes to bars with no boyfriend, but a book deal. And I always say I'd rather have a book deal than a boyfriend.
Absolutely.
So I started writing this book, and it took a long time to figure out the structure. The publishing company really wanted like a fluffy, fun baking book. With recipes. So I was developing cake recipes, and I'm not really like an expert baker, so a recipe consultant was helping me. And the book comes out. I write a pilot based on the book, thinking someone's gonna buy this. There's IP, intellectual property. This is perfect. I will work on a TV show based on this year I spent taking cakes to bars. No one would get back to me. No one would email me back. No one cared. It was very discouraging. Mm-hmm. And I just thought, well, I guess I better keep writing another script. So my boss at the time was a really great mentor to me and really believed in the project. And she said, I don't think this is a TV show. I think it's a movie. And let's send a copy of your book to this producer I met at a screenwriting conference who does a lot of romantic comedies, female-driven stories. And so we sent a copy of the book to her, and she and I met for coffee. And I was just so lucky because she believed in me and believed in this project. And once I told her a little bit more about the real story, my best friend who really encouraged me to do this project was diagnosed with brain cancer in the middle of our year taking cakes to bars. And it was not something that made it into the book because the book is so fluffy and fun and, you know, recipe-centric. So once she knew that part of the story, she said, I think this really is a movie and I'll work with you on it. Let's have you write a script and I'll work with you on it, and if I like the script, I'll option it. So that's what we did, and I think a year later, Amazon bought it.
Wow.
So from the time that I said I would take Cakes to Bars for a year and the time that the movie came out was 10 years.
Wow.
But then the actual like shooting and everything, maybe 9 years. So it was a long journey, but I'm thrilled with how the movie turned out. I feel very, very grateful and very lucky that it was made. And that's my long, detailed answer for you.
I love it. And with all of that in mind, let's watch a special exclusive Page to Screen clip from Sitting in Bars with Cake.
Well, it has been really great having you guys here.
Yeah, this is getting out of hand.
It's just more so that we feel like we're ready to be on our own.
No. I haven't even fixed the shower yet, because Lowe's didn't have the right color grout. I gotta do the dryer vent. That's a fire waiting to happen. I got a whole list.
I think you're losing it.
I'm losing it? I'm not the one up at 4 a.m. making spaghetti sauce and doing the Wordle.
You know, if I miss a day, my streak goes back to 0.
Not 4 a.m. it doesn't. It doesn't reset till midnight. You got the whole goddamn day.
We can't stay here forever.
Okay, fine, go back. You can tend to the shop and I'll stay here and take care of things.
I can't fix the cars, Fred. Besides, what more can you do here besides personally supervise her radiation treatment? We know everyone at the hospital. We figured out the insurance, and I've filled their freezer with more lasagna than they're ever gonna want to eat.
Not possible. I love your lasagna.
Thanks, Jane, but get real.
You girls are gonna need more than dinner.
You guys taught me how to take care of my business, okay? This is me doing that. Let me be an adult.
Yeah, we'll be okay. I promise. And you guys can drive from Phoenix whenever you want. My room will always be available to you.
Just not ready to leave you, Corky.
Yeah, I know, but for the sake of our relationship, I can't see her bare feet anymore.
Oh my gosh, and there's cake.
So nice.
Magical.
Of course.
Did you make it?
I wish I had. I did not. My cake would not look this nice.
It's beautiful. Cheers. I'm gonna take a little
Cheers.
taste. Cheers to sitting here with cake. I love it. Okay, not me trying to ask you a question after just
No,
eating
that's
cake.
fine.
So
I would eat mine too, but I'm such a sloppy eater. No one wants to see it. I'm just gonna admire it.
did
Eat it later.
you pick this clip?
I did pick this clip.
I love that because the parents' role in this story I thought was really sweet, and I
thanks.
loved particularly Dad and how he was always kind of looming, and not to spoil anything, but I don't know, it seems like this dad is very present and really just wants to be involved, and I think how the family played into the story was just really beautiful and very real.
Oh, thanks.
So
Yeah,
I thought that's awesome.
When you go through something like this in your mid-20s, early 20s, it's a funny time because you're kind of not old enough to be like a full-blown adult and not need your parents, but you're kind of too young to really need your parents all the time. So it was fun to have the parents, which really happened in real life, kind of coming to check on us, staying for a little while, going home. In real life, my friend's parents did not insist on staying when we told them to leave, but anyway.
Makes for good drama
Yes.
if they're like, we're not leaving.
Yes.
So I'd love to talk more about the screenplay of
Sure,
this,
sure.
right? Because we know it was blog to book to screenplay, which Very impressive, by the way. I love
thanks.
that you just stuck with it. And it happened because it
I'm
was
very
supposed
lucky.
to happen. And it's such a beautiful story, and what a gorgeous tribute to your friend. So for this, though, with Amazon, you are the sole screenwriter on this project. And I feel like that's kind of unusual these days, especially with a screenwriter getting to adapt their own material, your own book. So can you tell us more about how that particular piece of it came about?
Yeah. It's because I'm so aggressive. No, it's not at all. I was just very lucky in that the producers that I worked with on this project, I think, really believed in me and what a personal story it was, and saw that I was willing to take any notes, work really hard. So we went through, just the producers, we went through so many drafts, you know, perfecting it before Amazon read it. And then when Amazon read it, they gave me the opportunity to do a rewrite with their notes. And I think had I not done a good job with those notes, I would have been replaced. Other writers would have come on. But I just tried my best. I worked really, really hard. I worked on my honeymoon on the script. You know, I just spent all my time working on it to try and figure out how to incorporate their excellent notes. And then we went through several versions of, you know, passes with Amazon. And then even before the movie shot, I had just had my son. We did lots of revisions to finish casting the movie. And I feel really lucky that I managed to just stay on as the only writer. I think it is really unusual. I think it did help that it's based on my life. It's such a personal story. I feel really lucky that they entrusted me to keep being the writer to tell it.
Yeah, it's so stunning. And did you have any say in the director for this project?
Well, the producers had ideas, and when they told me about Trish C., who's the director of this movie, who's incredible, she is a choreographer, she's a music video director, she's also, of course, directed features, but just watching her work, especially her music videos for the band OK Go, there was such kind of this magical energy and whimsicalness that I thought, this is going to be an incredible movie. She has so much cake to play with. She has all these bars to play with, these like girls who are young and fun and have wigs and like almost to an extent like play dress up. And as soon as I talked to Trish, the producers were really generous and invited me to a meeting with her, and we got to meet, and I just loved her right away. So I think it was just so exciting to be like, yes, I'm on board 1,000,000 billion %, even though, because I'm not J.J. Abrams, I think had I not been crazy about something that happened in the movie, I would have happily kept my mouth shut. But anyway, I love Trish.
I feel like it was really perfectly simpatico. That's something that I was noticing is, how playful it is. And even in that scene, I mean, it starts with dad and daughter just wearing silly glasses because why not? That's what they would do in their home. And
I love it.
Yeah, it was very playful until it's not.
Yes.
Which is very gorgeous and very real and really is like very genuine, which is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, by the way, everybody go watch it. So while we're on the subject, I guess now, of just you with writing, I want to know more about your process.
Sure.
Before anybody else gets involved, Audrey Shulman has an idea, she opens up her laptop, what comes first? Is it logline, plot, characters? Yeah, how does that work for you?
I think it usually depends on the project, but I would say I usually start with a notebook and I just write by hand notes about, characters, scene ideas, arcs for the characters. If there's something really specific that I, want to say about, a theme that's going to be in the movie. And then eventually I'll open up my computer and make an outline, even if it's just really, really loose or just scene ideas. I love the book Save the Cat by Blake Snyder. I use it all the time. I have professional writer friends that use it all the time. And that is how I make my outline. I have my kind of tent poles of those beats, and I just keep revising, and revising. I often get overexcited and start writing the script before I should, and then something's not working, and like should have outlined more, go back to that outline. If I have enough time, if I have a long enough deadline, I like to color code different aspects of the story to make sure I'm not dropping anything. Oh. That's been very helpful for me.
Can you explain that more? So you're like highlighting in the software?
I'm highlighting within the software. I know some people use note cards, some people use I think Final Draft has different outlining software as well, which I wish I was smart enough to use. But I just use good old like highlighting, green for the romance, yellow for, the C story, whatever I'm
Cool.
doing, and that's helpful for me to just visually see it really clearly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you usually follow the same process with every single project you work on?
I would say yes. For the Hallmark movies I've written, sometimes those deadlines are so fast that I have really no choice but to revise within the script. Even though I'll occasionally go back to the outline. But sometimes, you're moving so quickly, you're just working within the script, especially if you're like a few drafts in.
Yeah.
But I would say revising is 90% of what my jobs are. And so once I have a good solid outline, that helps with the revision process. But I go through a million different drafts. I think it's very unusual for writers not to. I wish I was that writer, but I go through many, many different drafts.
For you, do you print them out and read them, and how do you go about your rewrites? And are you rewriting within it? Are you just have blank document?
Sure, I would say I will sometimes print out the script and make notes. I'm also, if I'm stuck, I should mention, I will watch other movies that remind me of what I'm writing, or TV shows that remind me of what I'm writing, even if it's a feature. So that usually helps me kind of remember, oh wait, this moment's supposed to feel more like this, or oh, I'm not doing a good enough job with tension between these characters. I need to really amp that up. So that might be kind of in the beginning of the process, I'll do that, but also in the middle. If something's not working, look at other things for inspiration or examples of how they're doing something and pulling it off well. But I do like to write notes on the physical paper. Sometimes it's just so much paper that I'll just do it on my laptop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a helpful strategy for sure for people.
Yeah, I love that. Save the cat, save the trees.
Yeah, save the cat and save the trees.
Do it on
yes.
your computers. And do you still write on spec currently?
I wrote a spec script last year during the writer's strike, since I was not allowed to be writing for anyone. So I'm in the process of revising that script, and I have some other projects that I'm working on. But I think writing a spec script is always a great way to kind of shake off some rust and get to work on something that's just for you.
Yeah.
I think that can really shine when you're not really being held to anybody. You're just working on it for yourself.
Definitely. It's I have the time and the power to create right now, and make that happen.
Yeah.
I love that. And you mentioned earlier that you, okay, I'm gonna go back. Take two. So I heard you talk about screenwriting competitions and just all those network competitions, that kind of stuff. What is your opinion on those?
Sure. I think those are very helpful in terms of giving yourself deadlines, especially if you're a newer writer just starting out. My experience is that people who do well in those programs have applied several times before they get in, and that kind of shows you're a serious writer and you're still working on your craft and kind of determined to get in. But I think having a writer's group is just as important. Being able to take feedback is super important if you're not willing to revise. I mean, I think so much of the work is being a receptive note taker, learning to give constructive criticism to other writer friends, and just continuing to work on your craft. I mean, I feel like I'm several years into working professionally, and I still have a lot to learn about writing, and I'm always happy to take notes and have to be open to notes. So I think that the competitions are maybe one part of it, but a writer's group is super helpful as well in kind of establishing all those good habits.
That's awesome. Audrey, we still have so much to talk about. Are you okay hanging out with us a little bit longer?
Absolutely.
Amazing. So we are going to be right back with more from Audrey Shulman in the next episode of Page to Screen. In the meantime, go check out our other interviews at our YouTube channel and connect with us on Facebook or Instagram. Page to Screen is a production of the Tennessee Screenwriting Association, a not-for-profit educational organization since 1988. The TSA meets every Wednesday, either on Zoom or in the real world. And you can check out the group's website for the up-to-date schedule of events at www.tennScreen.com. I'm MK Kopp. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, stay tuned for our next episode for more of our conversation with Audrey Shulman. Until then, keep on writing and keep on learning.